Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Get to Know You video with our therapist, Raymond. I'm Stephanie, the owner of Marble Wellness. We are a multi-location specialty practice in Baldwin and Lake St. Louis, helping you with a variety of mental health needs, anything from kid therapy to couples therapy, moms, dads, pretty much everything in between. And we are here with our therapist, Raymond, who is one of our wonderful clinicians out at our Lake St. Louis office. And we're just going to spend a few minutes getting to know him. So, Raymond, hello. Thank you for taking the time with me today.
No, thanks for doing this with me, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always happy to hang out with you guys, even if it is virtually for a little while. We can just go ahead and jump right into it. Tell us how you came to be a therapist, what brought you to this field.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I've always had this desire to really be helpful to people. And going through school and life and things, I really realized that I have a knack for listening, but also supporting. And that's kind of what we do in the therapy room is we listen and we support. And so that kind of piqued my interest into counseling. Because initially I wasn't going to go into counseling. I was just going to get a psychology degree, but then it made more sense to actually develop skills to be helpful, listening, and supportive of others.
Yeah, that psychology degree can be very interesting in undergrad, but certainly continuing the pursuit and going into a graduate degree for counseling allows a much broader career path and just a lot more activity, as far as interventions and being able to actually sit with clients and do
Mhm.
the work that usually attracts people to the psychology major as an undergrad. But
Right.
yeah. So tell us who you primarily work with. When people are in the office with you, what kind of people are typically coming to see you?
So couples are what I primarily work with now. Um, and couples work is so dynamic, it's so fun and interesting. But I do also work with individuals. So teenagers and young adults seem to be kind of a bracket that navigates towards me. So I do see those demographics. I used to think that I would be more attractive to the older populations, but
Okay.
it seems like the young ones are the ones who gravitate toward me. So it's fun. I started play therapy again this last 2 weeks ago and stuff. So kind of getting back into working with these different populations. But couples is where I really put a lot of time and energy in.
Yeah. Well, couples is definitely a certain type of work. Like you said, it's just like so much dynamic happening in the room, right? Even just three people talking instead of two really
Mhm.
multiplies things. And it's, the energy and the stories and the background. But then also teamwork is really hard. So you've kind of got these two sectors within our field that not everybody does really well. So I think it probably says a lot about you as a clinician that there seems to be a pull from you to work with these populations, but that these populations also settle in with you really well and enjoy that work. And we all know that we need really good couples counselors and really good teen counselors because,
Mhm.
again, the work is just very different. I'm not going to necessarily say, harder because I don't want people who are in individual therapy thinking that's easy. But again, it's just a different skill set to bring when you're working with teens or when you're working with couples. So we're
Mhm.
very looking for somebody that enjoys and does well with both of those populations. Tell me, and I know this answer might be a little bit different because those are different populations, but how do you typically work in therapy? What is it like sitting across from you in the therapy office, or what do people typically describe a session with you as feeling?
Yeah, so I try to be really relaxed and informal, because I feel if I'm tense or if I'm super rigid, then that's going to pass on to the client. And I want them to feel comfortable in my room. And so I don't take notes, for example, which I know a lot of clinicians take notes. But I also try to lighten the environment, so to speak. So I do try to laugh with my clients and kind of bring some levity, even in the midst of difficult conversations, because my thought is if we can't find purpose and meaning, even in the midst of hardship and some levity, then we have
Yeah.
a lot more work to do. But I try to bring that in so that people leave my room, even after difficult conversations, they leave feeling comfortable, they leave feeling some sense of joy, because that's going to translate into the work that they do at home
Yeah.
over the next week.
Yeah, very true. And I will say you are very funny. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago and I don't know if I told you this. I hope I expressed it, but I mean, you've got some zingers and also just some like subtle humor. Your delivery's spot on. It works for me at least. So I imagine there are those moments that come in sessions with you that just don't detract from the work, obviously. Like there are moments that it's just but again, to your point, like this is hard work, but that doesn't mean that it always needs to be tension filled or formal or like you said, rigid. And that humor can go a really long way for that relationship between you and the client, but also just as a reminder that it doesn't always have to be this intensity that's
Mhm.
difficult, so serious. And
Yeah.
in the midst of all of that, to your point, like you can find joy or meaning or purpose. And that's so important to weave throughout your day-to-day life.
Yeah, when I was young, I used to get in so much trouble for laughing all the time.
You did.
And yeah, I was told, well, you're being immature because you can't stop giggling or laughing. And I got to a point where I was like, look, I can either walk around here moping because life is horrible right now, or I can find joy and laugh a little bit. I'd rather laugh than mope around and be depressed.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
let me have a moment just to kind of find some
Yeah.
humor and move on. But I think life would be miserable if I couldn't find humor in different things and different hardships or challenges that just come into my life as a person. But
Yeah.
then also sitting in front of clients all day, where we're processing and going through difficult life situations. Um, Humor for me is like the remedy for all that. And so if I can't find a little bit of humor in my day, I go home wondering what I did wrong.
Oh, that's funny. This is not a surprise question because you'll have an answer, but tell me a little bit more about like why work with teens and why work with couples. What pulls you to that? What do you enjoy about that? What do you usually find in those sessions that just works for you and the clients?
Yeah, couples are really fascinating because when I was an intern, my supervisor was an LMFT, so a marriage and family therapist, and couples were her jam. She just
Yeah.
gel, and I'm like, I don't like couples. Keep them away from
Huh?
me.
It's intimidating. It's
It
really it
is.
can be really intimidating when you're
It
new.
is. It is. But then once I started working with couples, I'm like, this is actually very comfortable for me because
Cool.
I enjoy working through relational issues, because I'm a firm believer that we as human beings are relational creatures and relationship is so important for us, that it brings me joy to help others rediscover why they're in the relationship that they are.
I
And
love that.
that's beautiful to me. And so when I can work with a couple, no matter what the presenting issue is, but help them rediscover that initial love that they have for one another, that's success for me. Um,
That's awesome.
and that's where I find beauty in couples. And teens are a whole nother animal.
Yeah,
Um,
tell me about
so,
that.
because teens present to me, 'cause I'm a bit older, so I oftentimes have to learn how to talk to a teenager now. And so,
Yep, the language
you know,
of the time.
yeah, and so often, a lot of times, I'm asking them like, okay, what is that? I don't know what that word means. Tell me what it
Yep.
means. Help me understand.
Yep.
Um, and and it offers me an opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
Because so
Cool.
like the other day I was playing Hangman in session with a teenager. Um, And that worked, you know? And
Yep.
so what
Yep.
do I have in my room that we can use to kind of break the ice and kind of get comfortable with one another while
Mhm.
still having productive conversations?
Yep.
And so it offers me that opportunity to be a little bit more creative rather than just following traditional interventions or a
Yep.
system.
Yep.
And I find that stretches my skill set, but it
Cool.
also helps me support a population that's going to be um, well, it's going to be our future. And, you know, I want
Hmm.
them to be as healthy and as productive as possible. And so if I can help facilitate that in any little way, I want to do that.
I love that. That's a very cool lens for both of those couples and teens. Thank you for all of that. Let me ask you this, taking off the therapy hat a little bit and going more
Okay.
to the personal. What's a fun fact or a surprising nugget of information about you that you can share with people?
Sure. So, I mean, I'm a therapist, so I tend to like people. Um,
Yeah.
but one way for me to get to know people and to experience them is to learn their language. And so I grew up speaking English and Spanish. Those are my native languages. But speak what two or three more. And then I'm constantly learning others, or at least attempting to, because
Mhm.
I want to I want everyone who walks into my room to feel comfortable. And if I can even say one word or a
Uh-huh.
greeting or something,
Yeah,
that breaks down a lot of cultural barriers that we sometimes have.
absolutely.
But even prior to therapy, language is something that's really important to me, just because it is an introduction into people and into culture.
Yeah, very cool. What are the two or three other languages?
I speak French, Italian, and I'm reading proficient in Latin and Greek.
Cool.
Then I'm picking up again Thai and Japanese and some other Asian languages, which are
So
different.
impressive. Very cool. So you could also be a spy, is what I'm hearing from that.
Well, sometimes it's
Oh
funny
man.
because sometimes I overhear a conversation and then I make a response and they're like, "What?"
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, you know,
Didn't expect you
it throws
to.
people off all the time, but
Sure, sure. That's awesome. That's a very fun fact. All right. Well, Raymond, thank you so much for spending the time with us this morning. To our viewers, whenever you're watching this, middle of the night, middle of the day, anything in between, feel free to reach out. You can hop onto our website. You can email us. You can just give us a call. Our phone number is 636-234-3052. Email is hello@marblewellness.com and reach out and we can get you on Raymond's calendar. Raymond, thank you again so much. All of our viewers, thank you and hope to hear from you guys soon. Have a great day, everybody.